Welcome to the UK PTs podcast, where we delve into the world of personal training one episode at a time. Here are your hosts, Joshua Mullin and Mark Laws.
Hello and welcome to episode number 8 of the UK PTs podcast. I'm Joshua Mullin. This is my co-host, Mark Laws. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm good, mate. Very, very good. How are you? Have you had a good weekend?
Just cracking on as always. I'm highly caffeinated. I'm like 19 hours into a 20-hour fast, so I'm looking forward to some food in a minute. And
I am highly decaffeinated and filled up to about here with cheese on toast and tomato soup. So opposites attract.
That is a good shout, man. Cheese on toast. Oh, might have that when I get home. So we're 8 episodes deep now. And today we've got Nik Hanley and Anthony Park, who are from Pure Gym. So would you mind telling us a bit more about what you know about Nik and Anthony?
I've known Nik and Ant a good few years now, probably 4 or 5 years. I helped them set up the Pure Gym PT conference within Body Power, and I've spoken for them a couple of times at their conferences, and genuinely got a real good relationship with them. They've helped me sort of go, and I went on a 2-year tour of Pure Gyms all around the UK, teaching no end of stuff, and they're bloody good lads. They manage a huge number of PTs, so it's got to be over 2,000, I'm sure, and they are in the trenches with their finger on the pulse of what the majority of the personal trainers are doing, what they're doing wrong, what they're doing well, what they could do better, gaps in their knowledge, like customer service, all that sort of stuff. They've got their fingers on the pulses, so it'd be really useful to chat to them and hear what they've got to say.
Definitely. So we've got a couple of sponsors for this episode, as always. So there's pttoolbox.clothing. So if you are watching this on YouTube, you can see the offer below that we've got at the moment. So pttoolbox.clothing is where you can get your customized fitness uniform. And if you're watching this and Black Friday is still a thing and it's not gone past that time frame, then there's a massive offer on our bundles at the moment of clothing. Mark, who's our second sponsor?
Wolveston Fitness, provider of high quality and reasonably priced fitness equipment. UKPT10 is the discount code. Anyone listening to this gets a cheeky 10% discount. Give it to your clients if they're stocking their home gyms, beautifully modelled by Josh there for the YouTube viewers. Jump on the Wolveston website and get yourself a little Christmas treat.
Boom. So I think that's everything for the introduction. So should we get into it?
Let's do it, mate. This is going to be a good one. Right, boys, the 27 Club, a short but illustrious list of fit pros and educators are in there, and you are about to rub shoulders with some of the greats. First round is based loosely on your education or lack of. We normally give you 90 seconds to answer 9 questions, but because there's 2 of you, I'm going to give you 15 seconds per answer, which I think works out 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Josh, on the timer, are you good to go?
Give me 1 second and I will be.
Oh, mate, you had one job to get your stopwatch ready. He's ready. Right, so I'm going to ask a question, and you are going to answer first, quickly followed by Nik. Both good to go?
Go.
Okay, Anthony Park, in which year did you qualify as a personal trainer?
2004.
Nik?
2001.
Who was the education provider?
Nazem.
Premier.
Now the same thing almost, isn't it?
Yeah.
How long did it take you to qualify?
9 months.
16 weeks full time, I think.
Nice. What was the last bit of CPD that you completed?
Oh, the Mendoza behavior change course, Gary Mendoza's behavior change course.
Yeah, same.
Same. What is the next bit of CPD that you've got your eye on?
I haven't got anything planned, but I'm just going to say for this, EIQ nutrition course with Emma and Amelia. It's a belting course for PTs. Get on it. Come on, 10 seconds, son.
So, hey, see, this is what you get when he goes first. The push. Something more to do with a revisit back to behaviour change, NLP, something like that.
Is that because you weren't concentrating first time? And what is the
Exactly.
highest level of qualification or education that you possess?
UKSCA. I'll say that as my highest.
HND.
Should a personal trainer ever be reassessed? And if so, how often?
Yes, but more so I think for further education. So for example, like the old rep system where you had to do X amount of CPDs a year. Remember back in the day? I think because the level 3 as it is what it is. I think then just pushing further education is key.
Nick?
Yes, yearly, I think, but similar to Anne, a little bit more vocational, a little bit more on the application side of things rather than memorising information and then passing a test based on memory.
Okay. What skill did you gain on your PT course that you use most often today?
Oh my God. See, the NASM course was good. Probably like principles of what did you say? Principles like programming and stuff like that. I'll probably talk about that a lot with PTs right now because is it stabilization, strength, power pyramid that they had back in the day was really good for that.
Cool.
Not much.
Not much. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at your jobs? In fact, you can mark each other. And give me a mark for Nick.
Okay, now. On a good day, 5. No, mate, like probably 8 out of 10. Just he needs a bit more fucking banter in his day. That's all he needs.
Oh, Jesus.
All right.
Nick, you get to mark Ant.
7.9.
Oh, how convenient.
What a bitch.
How convenient. Oh, anyway, we're only a minute over. You started off real good with the quickfire bit and then got progressively into essay mode as we went through. But who cares? Josh, round 2.
Okay, guys, so round 2 is all about the fitness industry. So, are you ready?
I'm ready. I'll try and keep it to one word.
Okay, so Anthony, you're up first. Name the most underrated person, product, or thing in the industry.
I'll go with Nick. I'll be nice. I'll go with Nick.
And Nick?
I know, yeah.
Also Nick.
Oh, jeez. Oh, no, this is going to be a tough one. Told you. Underrated. I'll be nice. I'll throw it back to Ant.
Well, what a relationship this is.
Get a room, you
married
two.
couple. Jesus Christ.
We're only being nice to each other because we haven't spent already 3 hours staring at each other on Zoom today. So just put some context behind it.
That was lovely. I'll take that.
Okay, question 2. Name the most overrated person, product, or thing in the fitness industry.
Do you want names for this? Like specific names, wankers, like 6-figure mentors and like people who sell sales scripts and wankers like that. Yeah, like the Laurens, the James Moody's of the world, the fucking, all of them dickheads that are out there just selling sales scripts and selling people the dream instead of delivering a better coaching experience for clients and stuff and just rabbit on as if it's all fucking sales and shit like that. Yeah, I don't like them cunts.
What about the one-word answer?
Sorry about that. Cunts.
Nick?
I haven't got one personal product. I just think how social media influences the industry in a negative way. And we can go off on hours talking about that, but that's just a general thing.
Agreed. So which book should all personal trainers read?
Is this me?
Yes.
Only because I'm sharing it a lot at the minute. That motivational interviewing book by, is it Dawn Clifford and someone else?
Yep.
Motivational interviewing in nutrition and fitness. It's brilliant for PTs who just really struggle with that coaching conversation with clients. Yes, that's the one. Belter of a book.
Josh has only got about 12 books on that shelf, yet he's got about every single book that anyone ever mentions is on that shelf. Weird. If you'd have said, I think War and Peace, he'd fucking have it up there. Anyway, Nick.
Mark Manson. Is it Manson? Is it The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck?
Yeah.
That one.
Nice.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, actually.
So, Anthony, phone rolling, yes or no?
Yeah.
Nick?
If it makes you feel better, yeah.
So, for how long did you do gym hours before being exclusive as a PT?
2.5 years-ish. I was a fitness consultant.
Nice.
6 months, maybe.
That's why you shit.
Which common fitness myth do you wish you could debunk forever?
Oh my God. So many. Like, rapid fat loss is a bad thing for people.
Good one. Nice.
That you can that exercise is the only thing that it's going to take to achieve fat loss. I would say that.
Nice. So, what is the best piece of work-related advice you've been given?
Value. Like, they don't care how much you know, they just want to know how much you care. I like that saying from a PT perspective.
Nice.
Yeah. That.
Follow your passion.
That's a good one. So, who would be your ultimate fitness industry podcast guest?
Oh. Ultimate fitness industry podcast guest. I was going to say Mark then, but we've had you on a couple of times.
Well, if we're going by Pure Gym podcast ratings, there's no one else.
Yeah, you're.
But who would be your second? Who would be your second favourite?
Don't want to be predictable.
Or quick.
Yeah, definitely quick, Mark. I tell you, Jens, who is the partner with Ollie in the PFCA, Jens is, he's a good lad. He's fountain of knowledge. So yeah, I'd have him on as a podcast guest.
Cool.
I think Ross Edgley, actually.
Well, that's a shout, you bastard.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a shout.
Final question for round 2. What are your favourite 3 exercises?
Clean. Yeah. Clean. A deadlift of some sort, sumo. Yeah, sumo deadlift. And I've got to say bench, and I fucking hell. I've got to say bench.
Snatch. Not that I'm any good, but snatch.
That's a cracking quote for our Christmas bloopers, anyway.
Anything gymnastic based that I can't do, and
10 seconds. Come on.
Oh, shut up. Deadlift.
Nice.
Cool. Only 4 minutes, 15 seconds over time.
That was him. That was him, wasn't it?
Struggle. Which one did I struggle with? Podcast guest, didn't I?
Yeah, to be fair, there were some difficult questions in there. Yeah, that was that went about quickly as Nick's hair grows. Right, round 3. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Dogs.
Favorite city that you've visited?
Rome.
Sydney.
If you could attend any concert, dead or alive, who would be playing?
Oh my God. Bob Marley.
Get out. I was going to say that. Bob
Oh,
Marley.
come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Nick.
Genuinely.
It's getting embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for you now.
My first one would have been the Stones, but it's in the Stones, so it'd be Bob Marley.
No, you can go and watch Celine Dion for that. What was the last television series that you watched or streamed an episode of?
Oh, an actual series, like.
Or just an episode of a series?
I'll tell you what I watched this weekend. What was it? Bobby Robson one on Netflix was really good, actually. Yeah, I watched that this weekend, so that was decent.
The Fall, I think it's called. The Fall.
If you could choose anyone to play you in a movie about your life, who would it be?
Oh, fuck. Denzel. He's the first person who come into my head. Do you want to know how my mind works? The first 2 people who come into my head then was Liam Gallagher and Denzel Washington.
Oh my God, no idea.
Well, we'll pick one for you.
Go on then. Come on.
Penfold.
And you're talking about my shit banter.
Tea and coffee, and how do you take it?
Coffee, milk, 2 sugars.
Black.
Would you rather go back in time to speak to your ancestors or forward in time to speak to your descendants if I could give you the power of time travel?
Back.
Would you rather shag a goat and nobody is ever going to know about it, or not shag the goat but everybody will think that you have?
This is the one that Emma asked you to elaborate on, wasn't it?
She wanted more details, yeah.
What detail?
Well, mate, she's a strange girl. She wanted to know specifics.
Not shag a goat and let everyone know about it. I couldn't give a fuck about them.
Yeah, same.
And please tell us one thing that is still on your bucket list.
Oh my days. To take my kids travelling.
Anywhere in particular?
No, just places I've never been. And because I had a kid fairly early in my life and stuff like that, like places I've never been, like North America, places like that.
So basically, you want to go to some places and you've got to take the kids with you.
Yeah, just so they do the things that I missed out on doing because I fucking spunked too quickly and we got a kid out of it.
Not that he regrets it.
Not one bit. Yeah. So yeah, traveling with the kids, all different places, but yeah, over like a month or so.
Cool.
Oi.
Don't tell me Nick wants to come with you. It's the same.
Yeah, but he's done all of his travelling, hasn't he?
I think like it's a bit cliche, but like go Everest base camp. I don't think
Cool.
Yeah, that's a shout actually.
I think Everest base camp.
Nice. Well, boys, we're done. We got there eventually. Well, it take us about 40 minutes, but you are now both members of the 27 Club, and me and Josh are bowing to pressure put upon us by Phil Lerney, and we're going to send you all T-shirts when we get them made. So don't get too excited because I didn't. But a T-shirt will be coming to commemorate. Right, boys, on to sort of slightly more serious, and not much more serious, but just slightly more serious stuff. I've asked you two to come on because I thought it's really interesting with what you do for a living. For those who don't know, you can elaborate on it slightly for me afterwards, but you work for Pure Gym and you manage and look after all of their PTs. Pure Gym are the biggest gym chain in the country, correct?
Yeah.
I'm sure they are. The biggest gym chain with the most number of sites and the most number of PTs in the country. Last time I checked, there's probably a 2,500. I don't know if am I close?
About 2.8. It's about 2.8.
About 2.8. So you're looking at the best part of 3,000 personal trainers that fall under your daily watch. So I just thought it was really interesting to get you guys on, not only because you're sound, but because you're in the trenches every single day, battling all of the problems that those PTs are throwing at you. So as we go into the main part of the interview, off the top of your head, what are the 3, 4, 5, a handful max of the most common problems that you find yourselves dealing with on a daily basis?
I think the first one, the biggest one by a country mile, is marketing lead generation by a country mile.
Okay.
The second one is probably them getting really frustrated with their levels of kind of client adherence and accountability. I'd say that was the second biggest one. Nick, any others?
Expectations of the industry, the job, the role, the inputs. Insecurities, massive insecurities about what they're there to do, what they can offer, the value behind their service, can they deliver, which obviously then brings about huge amount of kind of internalized challenges that prevents them from just doing the stuff, the very, very simple stuff that they need to do to get what they want.
Cool. So there's 4 there, and we'll touch on them all one by one, and we can elaborate on them a little bit. And we've had about normally, as you guys both know, people are quite they find it difficult to ask questions. But when I put the posts in the group this morning, we've had over 20 PTs have admitted some sort of problem or another that they deal with or that they're suffering from, and I reckon probably about 80% of them fit into one of those 4 categories somewhere. So on a scale of, say, of all the stuff you deal with, what sort of percentage of all of the problems fit into one of those 4 categories, do you reckon?
Say the majority, mate, because you think what Nick's just said regards to their expectations and their insecurity, that shines through marketing and lead generation, just like it did probably for all 4 of us on this now when we first started. And if you look at the average lifespan of a PT within the industry, wherever it's 7.5 months or whatever it is within the fitness industry, if you look at that landscape, like how can you become more confident, less insecure, manage your expectations, and more competent at lead generation and marketing in that time? Like it took me about 4 or 5 years to try and get my head around what to do and how to do it. So there's a reason for it, and there's a reason why so many PTs are insecure. They've got their expectations are warped, and that floods into the marketing and lead generation. It's the main reasons behind it.
Yeah, agreed, that 100%. Right, so let me find here somewhere, because I want to give the person's name who's asked the question. So Sherry Wilson and Carleen Norris both asked questions about online marketing and lead generation. How do they find clients, specifically talking about in an online environment? But for the purposes of this call, we can elaborate that to be the differences maybe between online and offline marketing. So if I work for Pure Gym and I ring you guys up, what would the process be?
I think the first thing to kind of recognize and it's a very simple thing, because genuinely the way that you deliver online versus offline is obviously different, but the fundamentals are the same, right? You can't expect to put a poster up in a gym and get a full client base. And essentially that, if you relate that to online world, you can't expect to put a post up and get a full client base. And I think when we look at that, and it's kind of strange and contradictive in a way, because obviously during the last year, that client base and pool of captive audience of leads basically on the gym floor was taken away, and everybody organically kind of stressed out for obvious reasons and understandable reasons, right? Stressed out, I can't get leads, blah, 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 blah. But then we noticed when the gyms opened, then that was almost still the case, is that they didn't kind of see the value of that even coming back in. I'm talking generally here. So in regards to that, like, you've got to recognize that it's about communicating to the audience. It's about building relationships. It's about building that know, like, and trust. It's about also not convincing, but positioning certain type of content which will be helpful to someone, which will generate some form of belief that, right, if I'm going to spend £100 to £500 a month with Mark or Ant or Josh, then I'm actually going to get the return on that. I'm going to see results. So it's simple, kind of, I don't want to simplify it that much, but it is communicating, building relationships.
I think the majority of what they struggle with is knowing what to do, like what to post, how to post. It comes back to confidence again. They get so dragged into what everyone else is doing that it prevents them and it stalls them from doing what they need to do to take action. And I can understand that and can absolutely empathize with, because that was me when I first started 17 years ago on the gym floor as a fitness consultant first and then a personal trainer. Exactly that. You'll compare yourself, you'll see what other people are doing, you'll mirror it, that you'll then think, I won't be able to deliver it as well, so what's the fucking point of me doing it in the first place? So you'll have that internal kind of battle with yourself to stop you from doing it. Now, the advice that we normally go out and give is, like, first of all, like, you need to understand, like what Nick's just said, you need to absolutely understand who you're going to post to, who you're going to market to, how you're going to communicate with them. And that boils down to, no matter if they like it or not, PTs have massive, like, challenges with this, but it boils down to who that market is and understanding them, like what they're up against, who that profile is, and what their challenges are, what their past was like. So, like, a lot of PTs sit down with a person, I think, right, what's their goals, weight loss, I'll post on that. But then they've got these people that are trying to serve, have got 15 to 20 years worth of challenges and things that they've tried and attempted in the past that dictates what they're going to do going forward. So it's understanding what that person's been through, their environment they're in, what challenges them, what frustrates them, what they're scared of, what barriers they have, how to overcome them, and essentially understanding that demographic that they want to serve. So then, as soon as they've understood their triggers, their pain points, their objections and barriers that they could face, they can pull that out and unpack it, and then start to put that together in some kind of structure of how I can talk to someone online and meet them where they're at, like, and for them to resonate with me, relate to me, and for the personal trainer to understand that at first, to grab people's attention and awareness on who they are, they have to show up with their own personality, because it's them they're going to buy into first, then the product and service afterwards. So whilst PTs are sat there thinking, yeah, but no one wants to know about my life or who I am, and if I show up on stories and do videos, like, it's going to be cringy and awkward and no one gives a shit. Well, actually they do. Like, they need to buy into you, because, like, they need to know you're not that perception of a personal trainer that's a self-obsessed wanker who does X, Y, and Z in their week, and there's this elitist. You need to break them perceptions and barriers down. That's your job. And the only way you're going to do that is by showing you how real you are, your process of maybe talking to you at your start of your journey, because a lot of personal trainers forget that. Like, they completely forget of who they were 5 years ago when they first walked into the gym floor for the first time and felt like a bag of shit and didn't know what to do and how to go about it. Because of their own insecurities and their self-consciousness between, like, how they look or how they're supposed to be, they completely forget who that person was. So there's a disconnect there between them and the consumer, because they can't resonate on their level.
Do you think there's an element of that is amplified by the way that social media in particular is used today, and that if I'm a PT and all I do is I sit and I flick through, and see what every other Tom, Dick and Harry's doing or says they're doing, or what every other guru and expert tells me I should be posting this amount of times or this subject, etc., and that they can almost become more confused based on there being too much information available for them.
Huge, yeah, massive. It's natural as well, right? First thing you do when you're a new PT and you go into a gym is you look at what everybody else is doing, you look at what everyone else is charging and kind of try and fit in. And it's the same online, isn't it? It's like, well, this person does this and I've seen this person do this and this looks like it works and should I be doing videos? And someone did a question box the other day and, oh, what are these fucking real things that are going on at the moment? And I get like, it's a minefield, isn't it? It is a genuine minefield where we all know, and we try and relate this to kind of how they work with clients as much as possible. We all know that there's hundreds of different ways of achieving fat loss and building muscle and whatever. There's 1,000 different ways and methods of doing that. And the same thing applies to like the marketing game, isn't it? There's 1,001 different strategies that are out there that can achieve the same result, but it's about finding what fits with you, your personality. Dare I say, you might enjoy doing as well because you're not under that kind of pressure of that misinformation and conflict all the time. So yeah, 100%. 100%.
A lot of this comes down to as well is I've just come off a webinar now with a group of PTs and we talked a lot about this at the end. And a lot of it does boil down to understanding your market and how to execute and apply your content online and offline to bring in a volume of leads. Get that? But normally, from my experience with personal trainers, it's they get frustrated with this and they worry about what other people are doing and all of that type of stuff. But they actually don't give it the time it deserves. Like if you sit and go into any business in any different industry, right, that relies on custom, sales and marketing is their biggest priority, right? Whether we like it or not. If you go into a commercial gym world, what we harp on about personal trainers being the most important people within the building, within a commercial facility, and they are, don't get me wrong, but still sales and marketing take priority. So like, you're going to have to own the fact that you are a business and that a massive part of your business and the priority is if you're going to survive, you need leads. And for that, you need sales and marketing in your daily routine. And you need to give it the respect it deserves where you have 3-4 hours a week where you can create. And then the rest of the time is you've got non-negotiables every day that you go and apply. Because if you're finding yourself doing 5 to 7 hours worth of training a week, but you've done fuck all lead generation, you deserve nothing. You deserve nothing from it. So like it always boils down to what do they harp on all the time, personal trainers, about their clients not prioritizing time or prioritizing this and prioritizing that. But don't prioritize the main thing that brings them fucking leads into the business. So you can't get frustrated about it if you don't fucking apply it.
Very true. I was just gonna say that when you touched on earlier the churn rate in the industry, what did you say, about 7.5 months? Yeah. Like various numbers are banded around, but you're looking at realistically 12 months would be generous at saying like the average life expectancy of a PT. But then what you have is you've got all of these people who are PTs copy or think they have to copy what every other PT is doing. Well, if you put that on its head and say, well, actually, we know fine well that 90% of all of these people that we're looking at are probably not going to be around by next Christmas. So why copy them? Surely, and I have this conversation with clients, like flippantly, like if I'm saying I'm trying to give you the confidence and the competence so that if you walk into a gym somewhere by yourselves, you're confident enough to know that if you do the opposite of what everyone else is doing, you're probably going to be heading slightly closer to the right direction rather than the wrong direction, because most people haven't got a clue. In some instances, the staff and the members training, both of them are almost equally clueless sometimes. So going against the grain and being different isn't always a bad thing. And on that note, I don't know if you saw this morning, I posted a video of Maradona doing a warm-up. And if you haven't seen it, I'll get Josh to put it in the notes to this show, because it's fucking brilliant. It's filmed in 1989. So Maradona is a World Cup winner and he's warming up before a match. and he could not give less of a fuck. And it's so, he's got his laces are undone. He's just doing keepy uppies to the music. He's like dancing, having a laugh, and then every now and then you see like other players in the team like doing their dynamic stretches and line drills and stuff around him, and he's doing the complete opposite of everyone else. And it's a brilliant analogy for that. You don't always have to do everything exactly the same way that everyone else does it. It doesn't hurt to be different and to go against the grain. That doesn't mean that you'll always be perfect, but you don't have to just copy people mindlessly.
Great.
I'll let Nick go on that one.
Yeah, I think it's just human behaviour, mate. I think it's one of those things where when you sit back and you rationale, and a lot of our role, to be honest now, is it's a little bit less than presenting information, and it's a little bit more of trying to get people to critically think about why they're doing what they're doing and what is it giving them. Like, if you're going to put that into a nutshell, how the support has kind of developed and our roles have kind of developed over the last kind of 6 years. We're saying the same. We say this all the time, don't we? And we probably say this every day. We say the same thing for probably the past 10 years, right? Past 10 years, we've probably said the same thing, just in slightly different ways, or articulated in slightly better ways, maybe. But I think one of our main roles in the moment is getting people to critically reflect on, well, what you're doing has given you fuck all. Like, what you want is over here. What you're doing on a daily basis that you're so passionate about doing, whether that's putting up a poster, whether that's putting out an ad which says limited spaces available, blah, 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 whatever it is, nothing's changed. Like, how long have you been doing that? Blah, 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 12 months, right? What's changed? Well, I had this one inquiry and I had this one client that came on board, right? Okay. So do you think that's working for you? Well, and it's just so, well, you can tell it's frustrating, but I think it's just that thing where they get in that kind of comfort zone of, well, something will happen at some point if I just keep on doing this. And a lot of the time it's not consistent anyway. But yeah, I just think it's, people get into that kind of routine and are so, and mentioned it earlier, are so in the business constantly that they, you know, a lot of our courses just take people out of that environment and literally, right, how have you done that? What's happened? What do you know about your business? What does that mean to you? Well, if you knew that, would you have done it differently? And blah, blah, blah. It's literally just like pulling people out of their business and getting them to kind of just reflect and critically think, and then get them to come up with the solutions, which, let's be honest, it's not rocket science.
No, it's a very difficult thing to ask anybody to do, though. And I tend to find that in the last 10 years, it's seemed to be even more difficult to ask people to stop, take a step back, and then critique how they've been acting, behaving, what they've been saying. Not to deliberately use a blinkered approach to try and find the justifications, but to actually try to find fault with what you've done. And a lot of people really struggle with that, particularly in the fitness industry, in the personal training industry. But to actually stop and go, how can I challenge these things that I think I believe? Like, without going too far off on a mindset tangent, but people sort of like have certain truths. Something that's true to me might not be true to you three. It's true to me, but because it's true to me, I have to fucking argue with every single other person that thinks differently or sees it differently. And I don't ever stop and just go, well, hang on a minute. Why? How can I? What about if that isn't true to me? What if there's a different way or a better way, or there's another thing that I can try? But so to actually stop and critically reflect on the things that you think you have to be doing, or the way you're doing them, or whatever. And that could be the way you speak to people. It could be whether you swear too much or not enough. It could be whether you're pressing the right buttons in terms of your methodologies of marketing and or any little nuances. But it's a very, very difficult thing to do. Albert Einstein said that it's the definition of insanity, isn't it? To keep doing the same thing and expect to get a different result.
And that's our main, like, genuinely, like, there's so much information out there now. If you wanted to learn a marketing strategy, you could get it, right? If you wanted to get a sales script, you could get it. If you wanted to get this, that, and the other piece of information, you could get it. And the value is not in the information anymore, I don't feel. The value is in the application. And I think that we're kind of obviously trying to get people who are early out their level 3. And so we have a whole onboarding system for Pure Gym in regards to how they come in, what support they've got available, when is it. I mean, it's just overloaded with support at the beginning part so that we can obviously set people up. But obviously, I reckon we're getting there with that. But probably the first four and a half years, would you say, Anne? It was, tough. It was tough because, you know, you've got sometimes 6 hours with people in a group environment, and you've got to change, or you've got to position certain pieces of information, or put in certain types of cues and questions and triggers to just get people to just go, oh shit. Oh, and you're battling against the other 10 Ps that are in there that didn't have the bollocks to come on the course, or were too apprehensive about that, or couldn't find time in their day to come, or whatever it is. So it's not a one, like you guys will know this, it's not a one hit and, you know, you're going to change someone's mind. It's just constant. And also, I think accepting that people will accept that, and when they have value in it, when they're triggered with it, which the triggers usually come with things going wrong, you know?
Do you know what? This is the most frustrating thing in the sense of when they go and outsource, when a PT then goes and outsources support, and bear in mind, we run the Mentor Academy, but when they go and outsource support, they'll go and look for that magic pill, that blueprint, that then because someone's shown up in a Facebook ad telling them they've got that, they'll go and buy into. And this is why I hate them. Do you know what I mean? This is why I literally hate the twats, because they are that 6-figure, 7-figure mentor bollocks. They are the new MLM scheme. They're like the Herbalife of 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, but within the fitness industry, right? That's who they are. So when vulnerable, non-confident, insecure, self-conscious PTs who are worried about going back to the call center that they used to have, but have tried to turn a hobby into a career, are really struggling, it's them that prey on, and then give them none of that individual coaching, none of that reflection, none of that kind of critical thinking, be able to rationalize things for themselves, because they just sit in a fucking Facebook group watching webinars and expect them to go and apply it. And we all know it's the same reasons why clients come to personal trainers. It's exactly the same. Like the principles of training and nutrition are the same. Like Nick's just turned around and said about going out and getting a marketing system. Everyone can go and get that from anywhere. Everyone passes that information out, right? It's the same for clients, isn't it? Like they can go and get the information that will help them lose weight and apply progressive overload into their program. They can go and get it. The reason why they don't is because they need an opportunity to come in with someone who knows a little bit more, who can coach them, who can get them to critically think, reflect, rationalize, apply them things. Whereas a lot of personal trainers don't get the chance to do that. And we can all sit here and go like, it's great, we should have reflection, that reflective time. But how many times have we had that within our coaching careers or in our life? It's difficult, like you said, Mark, it's difficult to have. It's difficult to include in your week. And normally what happens from a behavior change perspective, something happens like an external trigger will go, shit, like this needs to change. And that for me, like right now, it might be I'm working all the hours God sends and I've hardly seen my kids. And then I get to the weekend and the trigger is, God, my kids don't want to speak to me. My missus is pissed off. So then I'm like, whoa, I need some reflection time on my work-life balance and integration. Do you know what I mean? So that might give me an opportunity to reflect. With a PT, it's normally I've lost 50% of my client base for whatever reason. That's their external trigger to go, right, I need to go and outsource help. And the first thing we do is, like, right, I need to put some money into this, or I need to put some money into that. So it's exactly the same process. Like, it really is the same process. And this is why it's frustrating for us. And don't get me wrong, everybody needs that level of accountability and that level of support, and especially how difficult it is for a self-employed PT to serve their clients, to do this marketing, this lead generation, show up online, manage their finances, accountancy, manage the client's results, manage the client's care, manage their business, spinning loads of plates, when the majority of them are under 25 and have only been in the business for 7.5 months. Like, it's like, how can we support them? And this is the whole point and the whole reason why you've got this process, this PT journey within Pure Gym, because we've learned that most commercial gyms, like I started in Fitness First, Nick started in LA Fitness, didn't have that in place. And it's the missing kind of link of that initial hiring process. If they hit the ground running and understand the productive habits from day one, they learn how to reflect because they're tracking their metrics. They learn how to reflect because they can adapt on what's working and what's not working, and they plan their week and they apply that lead generation and marketing. And do you know what I mean? So it's them productive habits from day one. So it's difficult. It is difficult. But yeah, it is trying to include that reflection in your week is huge. But what do you reflect on? And I suppose that's some of the stuff that we just talked about.
That kind of brings us quite smoothly into point 2 of the biggest problems that you come up against, which is adherence and accountability and those types of things. Before I go into that though, Josh, have you got any other sort of marketing or lead generation kind of bits and pieces?
Yes. So one of the guys from UK PTs called Chris Marley has said, I'm paraphrasing here to turn it into more of a question, but he said, if you've got a PT that struggles with putting out content because they don't think it's good enough, do you have any tips for that kind of trainer?
A couple of things come into my head. First of all, what are you comparing it to make you feel it's not good enough? Second, that's the first thing. And if that is something that you're comparing it to is a negative daily, then cut it out. That's the first thing. Second thing is, I definitely think almost having a little bit of, well, this is double-barreled really. First of all, kind of having a little bit of an audit on your social media and seeing, and just doubling down and putting blinkers on of like, who am I trying to help? Not impress, but who am I trying to help? Not trying to fit in, but who am I trying to help? Who am I trying to talk to? And I think that is the really, really important thing, because naturally, organically, we will follow like-minded people and vice versa. So a lot of trainers will follow a lot of trainers and vice versa. And so that is where the influence comes in about, oh, well, everybody's doing this and everybody's saying the same thing and everybody's doing this and everybody's jumping on this like this. Well, yeah, because you're all in the same industry, all doing the same job, all after the same thing. But they're not your fucking audience and they're never going to buy anything off you. And so maybe double down and search out. And that's what Ant was talking about. And we were like, who are you talking to? Who do you want to work with? What problems are they facing? What frustrations are they facing? And the phrase that never gets brought up or asked from PTs is, how do I go about doing market research? Well, in any product, any company, and you're selling anything, you need to understand the market you're selling to. And so doing simple market research through questionnaires, through surveys, through all the different tools you've got on social media will essentially enable you to then pump out content back onto your social, which essentially your audience is telling you what they want, what they need, what they're looking for. And so I think the very first thing is audit who's on there, who's influencing you. Is it positive? Is it negative? If it's negative, cut it out. Second thing is research your market. Even if that's at a really simple level, what you're trying to achieve, what are your biggest struggles, et cetera, et cetera. That's two things I'd say.
There was, sorry to interrupt if you were going to jump in there, Anne, but I think there was another comment that was it Chris? That there was another comment he had made further down somewhere about he knows that his online coaching is a steal, so it's priced very low, but still no one's interested in it. So I think that sort of ties in with what you just said a little bit, because as I was reading that, I actually clicked on his profile and scrolled down a little bit, and it looks like, I think, I don't quote me if I'm wrong, I apologise, but I think he's a strongman or operates within the strongman community, and he's got some testimonials from clients and pictures of people competing in your typical strongman sort of events. So therefore, by doing a bit of research and going to speaking to those potential athletes and maybe asking them, if you were going to have a coach online or face to face, what would you want from them? What would you expect from them? What sort of price point would you be looking at? What sort of time commitment would you be looking at? And almost reverse engineer it and ask them what they want, and then make a product that solves the problem. I don't know if either of you have read Dan Meredith's books, or one of Dan Meredith's books, but he's got a page in there somewhere. It's like the simplest business plan ever. Is like, find some people who have got a problem, go away and design a product for that problem, and then sell it to them. But without doing that research, you end up sort of like trying to you're selling apples to someone who wants to buy oranges, and it's never going to work unless you've delved a little bit deeper.
100%, mate. 100%. It's why you see the same posts all the time, and the features of that service is the same all the time. Personal training hours, block sessions, it's all the same, because they're so focused on, which is, and I'm not coming from a place where I haven't been before and I haven't done the same thing, right? But see, when I started out, we didn't have social, we didn't have Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, so it was just face to face.
Didn't even have colour.
Whatever you're going to say about the age, don't say it. I talk to him every day. But yeah, no, I think it's bang on. Like, knowing your market will enable you to speak directly to them. Like, social is so quick, fast paced, so you've got to stand out, not in a quirky way particularly maybe, but in a way that your audience can just be almost punched in the face when they're scrolling through. Oh, that's exactly what I'm looking for. That's exactly the way I think. That's exactly what I said yesterday. That's exactly what I need. And so you're going to do that through what you just went through then, yeah.
For any PT wanting to bring something off the floor like that, like, there's a level of kind of honest authenticity going out into your market, asking for that market research and being really humble with it, that actually people buy into. Like, if you're going to go out to your market and find out more, understand them a hell of a lot more and stuff like that, and then you start to post like curious type posts of going, guys, listen, I really appreciate this stuff that you've done. Off the back of it, this has arisen quite a bit. This was a theme. And now to support that, I'm going to put this on, and this is going to run for this long. I'm thinking about doing this. What do you all think about it? Gather some interest, follow up with them people to gather interest. And they've been part of building it. And that's a huge part of like motivation, isn't it? That level of autonomy, that level of belonging, like they've been part of that. So now they're in this short time capped program that then you can impress them with. You can show proof of concept off the back of it. You can show some social proof off the back of it, and then you can upsell from there. And that's all led from market research. And that won't only do you well there and then, it will do you well for however long. Like, and it goes back to what we said before. The features of most personal trainers' service are the same, but how I deliver and weekly check-in, for example, and the wording around it to an audience of 40 to 50-year-old females who have done Slimming World, Weight Watchers, Herbalife, Juice Plus will be completely different to how I deliver that to a 20 to 30-year-old female who wants fat loss. Why? Because a check-in, they haven't got a clue what that is. 20 to 30-year-olds, it's a little bit more common knowledge, so they'll buy into that. But if I'm talking it to the 40 to 50-year-olds who've been through these processes in the past, I maybe tap into what got them results when they were in Slimming World and Weight Watchers. And I wouldn't bash them, because that's that weekly accountability of turning up having someone to be accountable to, maybe a bit of self-reflection they used to write in the diaries. So me understanding my market takes a feature and helps me pitch it completely directly to what that market wants and needs, instead of, and this is where a lot of personal trainers, we talked about adherence a minute ago, is when they bash their head against a brick wall when it comes to getting clients to do check-ins and stuff. People just don't know the context behind it and why it directly benefits them, why that feature directly benefits that person. Because if you just pitched it at, you need to do this because it gets you that, it's not good enough for most people when motivation dips.
Do you think as well, a lot of PTs sell themselves based on what services they offer rather than the benefits that they deliver? So using that check-in as an example, I'll be honest, I haven't got a fucking clue what a check-in. I see it every 5 minutes on Facebook. I'm like, what the fuck? You get a weekly check-in? Well, what? I'm going to come and look over your fence and check you're all right? What? I don't know what the fuck that means. But if a client's reading that and say, right, I'll get 2 weekly check-ins, who gives a fuck? But if they're told that one of the main priorities, which we're going to go on to in a minute, one of the biggest problems a client has is accountability. All of the information is out there on the internet. The reason people pay me is because I'll fucking hold your hand and make sure you do it, because no one else is going to do it by themselves. And if you can think of a succinct and short way of saying that rather than weekly check-in, then all of a sudden they're going to understand the benefit of having you on their case a couple of times a week, rather than just the feature of, the feature of, I'll get a weekly check-in.
It comes back to, mate, it comes back to how well they understand their market, right? Because the majority of personal trainers will take a client on as quickly as possible within their business. They'll get a DM, they'll get a comment, someone will approach them after a class, and they'll book in a consult and try and sell to them, right? And if they do sell to them successfully, then it's like, right, what you need to do is this. I'll deliver my features of the service. And then eventually there's a breakdown of that, right? But if I understood my audience well, and I've got to understand, Mark, I've got to see you on a gym floor a couple of times, you've been to one of my classes, you've been to my induction, I've got to know you, you filled out my pre-consultation form, I've got a mass amount of information to go, actually, my weekly check-in is going to come in really handy for Mark, because what he's mentioned is that in the past, he normally starts something, gives it hell for leather, sees a bit of success from it, then goes out on the piss a few nights a week because he's a little bit more confident, and so on. And then that starts to affect motivation. So then your weekly check-in is then, you stand back from it and go, actually, this gives him an opportunity to reflect. And then if he's going out next week, we can start to talk about how he can go out and fit this into his week. So it's just an opportunity for that reflection. Whereas most personal trainers will turn around and go, right, well, I need you to do this weekly check-in. And what it goes through is calories, macros, how much water you've had, how much sleep you've had, this, and that. And then Mark sat there with his 12-hour-a-day job thinking, can I be arsed doing this piece of shit? I don't know why it directly benefits me at all. And then I'll do it at first because you've told me to and I'm really keen, but then my motivation will just drop and no one gives a fuck. But then the PT will point the finger at the client. No, it's your fault for not understanding the client well enough, and then pitching that to show that it directly benefits them, and which is why they'll value it so much more. And then this also comes off the back of, like, PTs get really frustrated with levels of adherence and accountability of their nutrition, the weekly check-in, them attending a monthly review, them engaging in a group, maybe not coming into the gym away from them. But most personal trainers just sell and put the emphasis on hours of PT. You're buying 10 sessions off me. Yeah, but what about the other part of the service? Is it not like a package? Do you understand what I mean? So then they'll bang their heads against a brick wall with clients, and they haven't put the emphasis on how them features of the rest of the service directly benefit the client from day one. So there's a breakdown from day one of understanding them. And this is where the nucleus of the problems come from.
Beautiful. Josh, anything else on marketing before we hammer adherence and accountability?
No, not so much. There's a lot of these questions you guys have already covered it with the knowledge bombs that you drop in. So let's move on to the next one, adherence.
Okay, so I had Claire Louise and Vicky McMahon both sort of asked about how can they deal with, how can they be more patient with clients who they know are not adhering to the protocol. So, and I think one of them even gives an example of, asked the client if they've been out this week. They said no, but they had actually been seen in the pub drinking. But the client had said, no, I haven't been out, because they knew that's what they were supposed to say. So basically, I suppose, how do you build that culture with a client from day one? How do you have a strong enough relationship with them so that they're honest with you? But then how do you also keep them on track?
Right, I'll start and then you can carry on, because the very first thing is, this isn't kind of a solve the problem, but this is a next time maybe try this. It's definitely going to be probably starting from the route that they've come into the business and how they've come into the business. So as an example, if that's a very cold inquiry, and for example, sent an email, blah, 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 looking for personal training, how much you charge an hour? The PT emails back, 30 quid an hour, want to taste a session, yeah, cool, come in, 30 minutes, right, how many sessions you want to buy? A very crude example, but, you know, that's the kind of general kind of gist that we see. Now, similar to what Ant mentioned then, the level of understanding of that person before they've bought the program is very, very low, because the focus is on getting them to spend, right? Buying X amount of blocks of sessions. Now, when you look back on what we're talking about in regards to adherence, is talking about motivation, aren't we? And motivated enough to do the things they need to do, and having enough value behind those things to do it and understand what it's going to give them. So a lot of the time we have that PT mentality and coaching style, let's say, of, right, when I'm in a PT session, that 60 minutes is largely dictated by me, and so it should be, in regards to doing things safely, the cues, the exercise selection, the reps, the variables, everything is kind of dictated and structured by me, which is what they're paying for, you know, largely. But where we fall down, I feel, is that we take that coaching style and try to apply it when we're trying to coach people when they're not in front of us and we haven't got that level of controlled environment, i.e. you need to do this food diary in this way for this amount of time, off you go, right? You need to hit the gym and do this workout, off you go. Oh. And what we're not taking into consideration there is understanding and building up a level of autonomy from that person, right? Is that convenient enough for them? Yes, we've got to make it, you know, we've got to kind of come to that common ground and get convenience in there. Are we understanding their competence levels? Are we meeting that client where they're at so they feel successful in doing it? Whether that's taking a 7-day food diary down to 1 day to begin with, completing that, they feel successful, they feel like they can carry on, etc., etc. Motivation is still present. And definitely that relationship that we build up at the beginning. Well, if someone's not being truthful, why is that? It's probably because they don't feel secure enough with saying, I've been for a drink, I've had a curry, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. And ultimately that comes, or that can stem from how you bring people into your business. Do you know what I mean? Having that level of rapport built up first, level of understanding, and doing that process which enables you to not fully, but start to get that level of autonomy, competence, so you understand them, and also that sense of belonging, that they have that level of trust and they don't feel ashamed, or they don't feel they're going to be punished, essentially, whether that's emotionally or physically in the gym for not doing X, Y, and Z. So it's not really a how do we do that? I'm going to let Ant answer that, but it's kind of a bit of that reflective time where look back on how you brought people in. And I probably guarantee you brought people in quite quick, or there wasn't enough of that done to set them up in the right way.
And I think the how behind that is having a bit more patience with your marketing and onboarding process of like bringing people into your business. So like, first of all, understanding, we said this a lot today, aren't we? But understanding your market, like completely understanding your market, being able to meet them where they're at, putting certain things in place like a pre-consultation. So it's not just a cold lead into a consult in to try and force a sale onto them, that then brings the barrier of price. And then the price is then discounted by you or dropped in the level of frequency. Because I can pretty much guarantee the majority of face-to-face PT clients who have poor levels of adherence and accountability, it's probably because that personal trainer is only seeing them once a week. So that level of focus and accountability is hardly there. And what we've done is give them what they wanted, but we've not given what they needed. So how do we do that? We can be really confident in now we've understood the person because we've put the marketing process in place, we've put an onboarding process in place, we've gone through this pre-consult, we've sat down and gained a massive understanding of motivational interviewing in the sense of what we want to do is let them build out what they need. So all we do is sit really neutral and ask really open-ended questions, deliver the opportunity to reflect, summarize on them kind of open-ended questions, to get to a point where your last question in a consultation is, okay, cool, off the back of all of that understanding, what do you think you need to do to move this forward for you? And with that, they'll start to turn around, well, from what we've talked about and what you posted about and what we went through in the pre-consult, I need this, 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 and this. Okay, perfect. What we then need to understand is what within my service matches that. So I'm going to show you, well, you mentioned weekly accountability. I do this check-in and this is what this is for. The nutrition approaches isn't no longer very black and white in a sense of download MyFitnessPal and track for 7 days. It's now I've understood this client. I know that I've eliminated 10 different nutrition methods and it leaves me with 3 or 4. That might be portion control, meal timings. It might be fasting at certain points. It might be calorie cycling. It might be anything that is relevant for that person. Pick me one that you think suits you. So they've been part of building that and picking that up. So that will then help with that level of adherence because it's their choice. As they come in, then it's supporting them with whatever that client needs in a sense of, because by the time you've got that point, you've built that rapport, you've built the trust, you've built a level of understanding. They know how that service directly benefits because they built it. They built it with you. So once they're really bought into that, the chances of them then lying to you or there becoming a disconnect between you is a bit more. You can start to, there's some easier fixes. There's just an honest conversation that we can sit down in a monthly review and go, right. And that's another way as well to support you with how to positively affect adherence is have that frequency of going back over the consult. Like how many times does a personal trainer do a consultation and talk through goals and never pick them back up again? Like happens so much. How many times does goals change, motivation change that dictates behaviors and therefore adherence? So as frequent as possible, probably monthly, let them reflect on why they come in the first place and the progress they've made, and then build an aligned plan off the back of it. So yeah, in a nutshell, let them feel part of building that out, and then they'll be less likely to hand you a load of bullshit, and they'll be more bought into. Any, you know, Mark, like from an S&C perspective, any coach-athlete relationship or coach-client relationship is built on them know, like, trust, rapport, understanding of how much you know them, right? And that's the same for client in a general population gym.
Yeah, 100%. And it's also based on letting them think they're doing what they want rather than you're dictating you're going to do this, do that, and do the other. You might give them 2 options and they choose one or the other. So really, both options are what you want them to do, but at least they think they've chosen what they're doing out of a small selection of stuff that you know is going to be appropriate. It doesn't have to be black and white, like do this, then do that, and then do that. You can add more variables.
Yeah, and one of our favourite sayings is, and I don't even know where it's come from, but when you get furious, get curious. So when your client pisses you off, then you've got to just sit back, pause, like do a bit of a woo-saw instead of wanting to bang your head against a brick wall, and just ask them questions. Okay, why did you feel the need to kind of lie to me about kind of going there and there? I'll support you with trying to go out and have a social life and keeping this into your life. Like, what support do you need with that? All of that type of stuff. So when you feel like you're hitting against your head against the brick wall and you're struggling with people, instead of getting really pissed off and pointing the finger, just sit back, reflect on it, and then ask them really open-ended questions and just be really curious as to why they've chosen to do that. Use reflection, like for them to hear what they say back and that kind of paraphrasing. So they start to realize, actually, I've got no reason to lie because I can go out on the piss and still lose weight. So they'll start to solve their own problems, which is what you want as a coach. You want to be able to get someone in your business who's not confident and then coach them out of your business that builds great levels of confidence, self-efficacy, competence. That's coaching, not dictating, don't do this, because it's a short-lived, right?
Well, I was just going to say, do you think that we're maybe operating under like a North Korean personal training protocol? Like, exactly playing on that dictatorship thing is like, no, when you're as a PT, do you feel that you have to dictate to somebody else to tell them what they're going to do? Whether that's just because that's the way it's always been, although the industry is changing, or whether it's some sort of ego trip, whether it's some sort of justification that I'm in control of this situation and I'm going to empower that upon you to follow what I say.
Yeah, I think it comes back to confidence, doesn't it? It always comes back to their ego, their lack of confidence in, and I've been there, trust me. Like, how many times when I first started out, like, I found this diet that worked for me, and then I was like, right, well, if it's worked for me, it's going to work for them, so I'm going to tell them what to do. Like, because at that point, I didn't know about coaching and creating autonomy and open-ended questions. Like, my main goal, and I thought I have my client's best interest at heart, was I want to solve their problem. And that's, you can't have that mindset as a PT. And obviously at the start, that was just my lack of confidence. I might have gone onto a course. We laugh all the time. I went on to say a Viper course, or I went on to a functional therapy course. And then all of my clients were doing Vipers and fucking functional therapy. Did they need it? Most of them did. They fuck. And that was my kind of lack of confidence to go, right, where do I take these next? Or what do I do next? Well, this is the new thing. Let me apply it. So trust me, we've been there, but 9 times out of 10, we're dictating because of either our own ego, our biases, or lack of confidence.
A theme that comes up all the time on these podcasts is communication and the importance of communication. And one thing that I notice is that a personal trainer thinks that communicating means you have to talk more and talk non-stop, whereas in actual fact, communication is 2 eyes, 2 ears, 1 mouth. So actually, probably only 20% of your communication is talking.
Yeah.
How about if 80% of your communication is through watching and listening, and you, as you just talked about there, whether that's through getting better at motivational interviewing, or whether it's asking open-ended questions, whether it's giving the client a little bit of autonomy on them actually choosing what they're going to do, and them telling you how they feel, how they've experienced things, what they would like to change, and then you making that happen rather than you saying, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and you're going to do the other.
100%. When anyone asks, like, what course should I do to help my career, it's always behavior change, communication based, always, because it's a bit cliche, isn't it? The most qualified PT usually is the one that is struggling in their business, because we keep on doing the extra CPDs and the technical side and but if you cannot apply that knowledge to people, like we said earlier, the value's in the application, not the knowledge a lot of the time. If you can't communicate, if you can't get people to do the programs, it's absolutely fucking useless. Simple, isn't it? You can write the best program in the world, have all these different ways of getting people from A to B. If you can't get that person to apply it in the right way, that's consistent, which fits in their lifestyle, it's worthless. So it's the biggest skill that people can practice. And we always say this, don't we? It is a skill that you have to intentionally check in and practice all the time. Otherwise, you're never going to get better at skills, like any skill. So yeah, I'd 100% agree, mate.
So a quick question for you guys. You mentioned earlier on about the book, Motivational in Nutrition and Fitness. And you mentioned also Gary Mendoza's course was really good for you guys. So on top of those two, which I'll link in the show notes, have you got any other resources or kind of go-to courses or books that you recommend for either motivational interviewing or improved communication skills?
I think The Art of Communication to Kathy McDonald is a place to go to. I think she does quite a bit in Lift the Bar. So The Art of Communication is a decent one. Yeah, so that's a decent one to do. I haven't done that, but I've heard good things about it. I've done a bit of a module on Lift the Bar on it and so on. So that was really good and opened my eyes. Motivational interviewing wise, there's loads of books that are out there. That's probably the most relevant to PTs that you just shared then. The Gary Mendoza course. Trying to think, there was another one in the back of my mind then. Oh, it's gone. Any more, Nick?
I've got a few upstairs, but I can't remember the names of them.
And then any PT will benefit about learning more about self-determination theory.
Yeah.
Any PT will benefit from that. Yeah, because I was thinking before when we were talking about this in the sense of like, Mark, and you'd probably be able to relate to this. And I remember when I was doing my S&C qualifications, I was like 25, 26, then going offering my time away to MMA clubs and boxing clubs for free, more or less, just to get that experience. And you were dealing with athletes where you could turn around and go, right, off the back of that testing, this is what you need to do. And they would go and apply that, no problem. And then I'd come into the real world in fitness first and deal with people where I have to present things completely differently. So that was a fucking minefield for me. So if I would have knew about motivational interviewing, self-determination theory, art of communication, all of that at that point, Jesus Christ, I would have been such a better PT, because it was such a confusing kind of time for me to balance both areas. But when we were thinking about it before, because although the communication's the same, the theory is the same behind how you would coach people. Coaching is coaching at the end of the day, and you mentioned it before. It's 20% us and 80% them. But that is an absolute art and a skill that needs to be practiced. And when we said before at the start, when you asked us that question about probably something that's undervalued within the industry, it's definitely that as well.
Nice.
Cool. Anything else, Josh, on adherence and accountability? Any other questions that I've missed?
Not that I can see, mate. What's the next one?
Cool. So I do believe section 3 of the most common problems that you boys come up against is expectations. I think in brackets, Nick, you put expectations of the industry. What sort of, can you elaborate on what sort of things pop up in that area?
Gosh.
Basically, do you mean PT finished his course on Friday, rocks up at your gym on a Monday, expecting to be given 25 multimillionaire clients who want 3 sessions a week?
Well, definitely say it's an extreme end of the expectations. But I definitely think that it's more like, it's probably expectations and awareness. So expectations that, I'm going to land in this gym, and the kind of, I would say the traditional old school ways of generating leads is still very, very firmly in people's eye line and thought process in regards to fucking posters and business cards and, that kind of style of marketing, which was pretty much all we had 15 years ago. And the knowledge and everything else surrounding that. So I think it's expectations of the actual inputs of what you do, what you need to do on a daily basis. I think that's it. And expectations on, what, I guess the perception of what that is in regards to what is a PT, like what surrounds that. And a lot of the time, a lot of our careers are born out of passion, right? In regards to, I love being in the gym, I'm passionate about helping people. I've been through a journey myself, and that drives us to do our level 3 or S&C or whatnot. And that drives us into going, well, actually, fucking hate sitting at a desk over there, and I love being in the gym, and I could get paid for it. And there's so many different facets to being a PT and running a business. And that's the realization and expectation on that is few and far between, I think. And that's what we try and give people kind of that 2020 vision on in regards to, well, you've got to wear the hats of the marketer, the customer service rep, the finance, the person who does the finance, the person who does the admin. Oh, by the way, you've got to deliver the PT sessions and the service as well. But that's almost a product of all of your on-business work. So So yeah, I think just the kind of inputs and the reality of kind of how consistent and what you've actually got to put into it as an industry / training providers, in my experience, need to do a better job of.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with consistency, because their expectations then negatively affect how consistent they are with implementing the things. You've even got to look back at, we just talked about adherence and accountability. The only way that comes off the back of buy-in, doesn't it? I've got buy-in from my client to help them become more adherent and accountable to themselves to apply the things when I'm not there, right? That comes off of buy-in. Now, that buy-in comes off the back of understanding, know, like, trust, rapport, building relationships. And that comes off the back of consistency of getting to know someone over time. Now, most personal trainers' expectations are, if I go on the gym floor today and pluck up this courage because I'm really not confident to do it, to go and do health checks, technique correction, questionnaire, a survey, hand out programs, a food diary, anything that's going to help me talk to someone that I don't know, I'm going to do that once. And if that doesn't give me the return that I need, which is 1 consultation or 10 consultations, then there's no point me carrying on with that. So their expectations are completely fucked. Although they have a go at their clients because their expectations are fucked when it comes to fat loss. It blows my mind, right? So like, their expectations are, if I put that post out, I'm going to get some leads. And if I put that post out and I've not got some leads, then there's no point me posting anymore because everyone else is posting and getting them clients. All comes back to confidence. Like, so we talk about managing their expectations. It really negatively affects the consistency that they put out and therefore the lack of leads that come in and then they fall out the industry. So I think the message off the back of it is that, like, you're not going to get clients overnight, as you all know. Like, it takes consistency of you being completely uncomfortable and making that comfortable over time, whether that's talking on a story on Instagram, whether that's talking on IGTV, doing a video, putting out consistent content every single day, talking to members on the gym floor, even when you don't feel like doing it. It needs to be within your daily routine, because otherwise you're never going to get the return that you expect. And it all comes off the back of, like we say, that level of consistency. I think they compare themselves so much that they look at the likes of, I don't know, your Jameses, your Smiths, your Emma Story Gordons, your whoever else in the world, look at them and go, right, well, actually they get loads of clients off the back of loads of posts. Yeah, but they've been posting for 10 fucking years every day. They've been approaching people, finding out about them, understanding them on the gym floor even before that. So I feel like their expectations are warped because they compare themselves too much.
Yeah. Only last week, Kumba talked about how when he started off his online business, he went 6 months before he got his first client. So he's had literally plod for 6 months with nothing. How easy is it after 3 months, 4 months, 5 months to think, fuck this, I'm barking up the wrong tree? But because he had done that, he was planting the seeds that then grew further down the line, and it was worth sticking to it. And I was going to sort of say while you were talking, I was saying, do you think, in terms of expectations of a personal trainer, do you think some people come into the industry with false expectations based on some of the bullshit or exaggerated noise that they've experienced, they've seen before they've entered it, and they then think that it's going to be some sort of quick miracle? I'm going to earn 6 figures in a year, and all I've got to do is pay this bloke 45 quid a week or whatever it is you've got to do. And there's more to be said about, if you don't fucking try to succeed too quickly. You want it to take you a couple of years to build and build and build slowly and surely, but it's a very difficult thing to do.
It's interesting because I don't particularly kind of follow a lot of or get involved with social too much from that point, but Anne mentioned a few different people to me the other week, and I had a little search. So the algorithms now have kind of kicked all these fuckers right in front of my feed all the time. But if you're honestly, it's all the time.
Have you seen that that Jenna Jameson? She's a cracking PT, mate. Fantastic.
But like, you could, if you view that, and you know you're an aspiring PT, you're thinking about getting into the industry, and you search and you start to look for, like, you know, marketing, fitness, you know, you put those kind of searches into your search engine or your social media, and all you're being plowed with was success stories, success stories, success stories. You know, the highlight reel of going from 0 to 10K, whatever, right? But of course, you're going to be influenced by that. Of course, you're going to be influenced by that. So,
especially if you're vulnerable, a bit naive, and you work in an industry that has just been fucking hemorrhaged due to the global situation we're in. You're going to be, if you're struggling to pay your bills or put food on the table, and some arsehole's telling you how easy it is to make 10 grand a month, of course you're going to have your head turned.
Yeah, 100%. And it's, you don't know what you don't know. And I think, you know, even though there's always going to be a market for that, isn't there? There's always going to be a market for that. There's always going to be a market for quick fixes in fat loss. There's always going to be a market for that. That's what you're speaking to people there, aren't you? So that's always going to be there. So it's no fault of people to kind of get drawn into that. I think we've all been subjected to those kind of things in the past at some point in our career. But hopefully, and you know what, like over the last, I would say 2 years, and again, I don't know if this is just what I'm seeing, but you know, there's a lot more good coming through. There's a lot more realistic stuff coming through. There's a lot more, the industry's, I think, shifting a little bit more to knowing who the charlatans are, knowing what's realistic, knowing kind of bare essentials that you need to kind of put in. So there is a shift, but there's always going to be a market for it, you know?
Yeah. I think that's, sorry, I was going to say, I think that's loosely based on results. Exactly the same as if you're a PT and you're broadcasting absolute dross and you're promising people the world. Well, anyone can use gift of the gab to get loads of clients. Getting them's not a problem. Keeping them, and keeping them happy, keeping them heading towards their goals, and keeping them desperate to refer their friends, family, and colleagues to you, that is what's difficult. And you can't do that in 6 weeks. That does take years. And I think that's where you can get people have this meteoric rise, but then they can fall away just as quickly. And the same principle works for gurus, influencers, business, whatevers. I think people, I suppose you also, if you tie into that, if you add in like the people like the flat earth brigade and all the conspiracy theorists and stuff like that, people are starting to now challenge, rightly or wrongly, they're starting to challenge beliefs. And it's very easy to find other, not that I believe in any of that shit, but do you know what I mean? But you're getting a lot of people they'll say, what, the media are lying to us. And they're convinced that one of the newspapers might have an agenda with what they tell us. So therefore they don't read that newspaper or watch that news channel and stuff like that. And that can be bad in some ways, but it's quite good in respect of people are starting to become wise to not just believe everything they hear. They'll maybe challenge it or look elsewhere for another opinion.
Yeah, and I think, you know what? I think I get asked all the time on Instagram stuff, like when you get messages about like, why do you fucking moan so much about these guys, or why do you call these people out, why do you do this and stuff like that? Like, how do you know they're so bad? And that's off the back of people coming to us and asking for help and finding out a little bit more, people seeing what we do and stuff like that. And then I wouldn't call somebody out or something out without just by looking at their Instagram video and thinking you're a tit. I just think that and crack on. But it's always off the back of the PTs who have been sold and not serviced. And it's a lot of the reason why, obviously, you look at Herbalife, that doesn't work, this, or whatever it is that they've done in the past, other companies. But that's why, and this is another reason, other questions you get sometimes, like, it's why do I share, like, the PFCA work? Why do I share Lift the Bars work? Why do I share PT Collectives work? Why do I share sucks work. And it's because if you're not coming to buy from us, from the academy, like, I would much rather you go be put in front of people who I believe and trust because I've heard amazing things from PTs. Like, and so it's a balance of that. And the more we do of that within the industry, where we go, right, these are good people and these are the wankers, I think the better you've only got to look at James, who's done amazing for the industry from a consumer perspective. For that, James Smith, who's been the loudest voice, dispelling whether you like it or not, myths left, right, and centre for consumers to start to understand that actually that's not the best approach for me, and this is stupid, and what I believed in was daft, and this is the right approach because that was a big voice. Do you know what I mean? So I think as an industry, we just need to keep sharing more of that good that Nick's talked about and more that what we trust in, and then hopefully the shit will disappear.
Yeah, and do you know what as well? There's plenty of business to go around. So this is exactly with a PT. Like, so if I'm a PT in a facility that's got 200 members and there's 4 PTs, well, that's 50 each. That's 50 people each. That's a fucking lot of people. If I get 20% of them doing 2 sessions a week, I've got a business. Like, easy peasy. Whereas you'll have PTs in a gym with 3,000 members and there's 2 PTs and they're going, oh no, PT's shit here because there's too many of us.
PT is competitive. That's what you get. Your PT, I'm like, your average membership is 1 PT per 650 members. Like, how is that competitive? You fucking idiot. Yeah. Like, what is wrong? It's just, again, it comes back to their confidence of not applying lead generation marketing.
And another thing that I was going to add there that popped into my head while you were talking was about, in terms of practicing what you preach, and something you just said there, whereby you work in the education domain. However, that doesn't mean that every single PT is going to be a perfect fit for exactly the service that you guys provide. So you refer out to SUK, to LTB, to PT Collective, to wherever, to PT Toolbox, to Mark Law's Underground Strength, best course on the market. Because although all of us work within education, it's not difficult to see that someone else has got a better skill set for a certain client. In exactly the same way, we would expect a personal trainer they're all personal trainers, but some of them are fucking clueless about back pain. Some of them are clueless about Olympic weightlifting. And therefore, if you can build a network of people that do the same job, but a different part of that job, then you become much stronger as a part of a bigger group.
100%. We're very, I wouldn't say we're not picky, but we know exactly who we can help and who we can't. Do you know what I mean? And we're not shy about kind of saying, you're probably going to be best over here, or best over here, or best over here, or best over here. And we've done that from day one, haven't we? Like, we're not, and this isn't coming from a perspective of like, everything we, I guess, have that problem or hear problems for, we've experienced ourselves. Like, we always say it, we've probably made every single mistake you can possibly make. And not just once, probably a couple of times. We're slow learners. But from that, you have then value in then change, you have value in trying, you have value in consistency, you have value in that kind of perspective, I guess. So yeah, 100%. And it's coming very, very obvious who those people are in the industry and who aren't.
Yeah.
I feel.
Practice is like when you said to me at the start, regards, I think it was a course that you're going to do, and the reason why I brought up EIQ, remembering earlier, is because we get questions all the time about scope of practice for nutrition. Like, always, PTs are really lack confidence in that area, and I did when I first started. And the reason why I brought that up is because if you go on that course, you'll know where you sit from a scope of practice perspective, and you'll be more confident in delivering nutrition as a coach, not as an advisor or a nutritionist of whatever course that you've been on and told that you are that, you know. So off the back of that, like, scope of practice is a thing, again, that comes back to confidence. Because I remember when I first started out in the industry, you know, when your friends and your family members and like people used to go, oh, I've got this knee pain, I've got this back pain. And I've been on a faster functional therapy course and gone, right, knee pain normally is IT band. Right, I've got the fix for that. I'm going to go and sort these out. And pass that advice is fucking terrible. Like that might be one crux of the problem that leads to another 3 or 4 crux of the problem. But I'm advising, And that's because I was naive, I lacked confidence, and I wanted to impress people. And I'm okay saying that now. As a 22-year-old PT, I was like, nah, I know everything. And I think it's just having that confidence to turn around and go, whoa, like, know what you need to know. Go and research what else that you're really interested in, what you can apply to your clients, and stick within that scope of practice and be completely self-aware. But be really confident to go, actually, I don't know that. So I'm going to build a team around me that can help me understand that, but also are qualified to bring that information to my clients. And if that means that you as a personal trainer, as your client group, who has a nutritionist come in once a month to talk to your clients, has a fucking mindset coach, has a physiotherapy, has a whatever, who comes in and does it, what a service that is. What a service that is. And you'll be a better coach for it long term. So you sit within your scope of practice, but you're still delivering an unbelievable service.
So true. So true. Right, Mark, we are very quickly running out of time. So
yeah, we're getting close, aren't we? So I think we've probably covered a lot of the insecurities bit in there anyway, haven't we? I mean, if not, we can, fuck them. Don't be so insecure. Solved.
Yeah.
Boys, I've got my box of terms ready for you two to masturbate.
Be quick with this, Nick, because I need a piss. Hurry up.
Nick, pick a hand.
Left.
Every time, 100%. Left hand. So today's topic of debate is gym shifts.
Well, that's awkward.
Oh, the one that you could have had in the right hand, I had Joe.
First one.
So doing gym shifts. So Nick, you are going to argue for, and you're going to tell me why PTs should be doing gym hours.
Yeah.
And you are going to go against, and you're going to tell us why gym hours are the devil's work.
How long we got?
Both happy?
How long
You're going to have 60 seconds.
Okay.
Josh is on the time. So, Nicholas, if you could please tell us why gym shifts are so important. Go.
I'll bullet point them. Gives you obviously experience of the environment of being in a gym, gives you practical experience in using all of the equipment, how to coach those pieces of equipment and pieces of kit to a variety of different people. Through that enables you to actually interact with members, which is the fundamental first point you have to go to build a personal training business, which enables you to build rapport and trust, and also deliver some form of value. 30 seconds. Gives you some structure in your week, forces you to get on the gym floor and show your knowledge. What else? It's almost a rite of passage into personal training, and could, if the company does, give you a little bit of kickback on finances if they pay you.
Wow, plug that was as well. Well done, son. That was good.
And tell him why gym shifts are so terrible.
Right, Nick's full of shit because gym shifts are absolutely
The subject, not the person.
Talking. Because you have to clean. It's basically cleaning, where you have to get a feather duster and a fucking toothbrush sometimes for treadmills, and they make you look like an idiot. They'll make you do certain things where you have to like do inductions for members who are just like fucking, yeah, like really demotivated, full of shit. Like, yeah, it's just a waste of time. They never want to convert into your business. They also, on gym shifts, you have to do classes. Like, I have to do like fucking classes with members that are just like, yeah, I just hate doing them. I look like a tool with that head mic on, and I just fucking hate kind of standing up in front of the class and try to be Mr. Motivator. Just all in all, they're just like a waste of time when I could be spending more time as a self-employed PT in far less time.
Done. Easy peasy. Gym shifts taking a bit of a hide in there from Ant. I detected a sarcastic tone in your delivery there, and are we all agreed that maybe for a PT to get on the gym floor, heaven forbid, to teach some classes to people who are desperately interested in health and fitness, and even if it means having to clean some equipment, I don't think any of that is a bad thing.
Agreed.
Mate, I'll stand on record and say I completely disagree with everything I just said. Yeah. I think your gym listen to this and sack me. Yeah.
Right. So now it's time for false, true. We'll reverse the order because Ant went first in the quick fire round, and then Nick blamed him for slowing everything down. So Nick, story of your life, you can come first this time.
I thought it was
Can
true
you?
to false.
Oh, so you're saying you've got 2 true ones?
Yeah, I've got 2 true ones.
Think about Come on, I've got them. Let's go.
Right, well, give us your 3 statements, and what one of yours is false, yeah?
One of them is false.
Okay, somewhere there's a lesson to learn about communication here, but that can't be that important.
Okay, first one. I was a trainer for a famous 80s pop star, Gloria Estefan. Second one was I had no concept of a calorie deficit for a quarter of my career. And the third one is I went on a crazy night out with John Jones after a body power event last year.
Josh, you can go first.
I think the false statement is the training the 80s pop star Gloria. I think that is the false one. I think the other 2 are true. Mark?
So, did you train Gloria Estefan? Did you go on a bender with John Jones? What was the middle one again? Oh, for 25% of your career, you didn't understand the calorie deficit.
Yeah, just basically ignored it.
I think that the middle one is false, and I think it was, oh, no, hang on. Yeah, so one of them's false. Yeah, I think it was probably like 50% of your career you neglected the calorie deficit. I think you definitely gave Gloria Estefan a few good seeing twos, and I think
really twist that.
Well, so it was the same difference, and I think the night out is true. Yeah, that's my answer.
Okay.
That's
Are you going to say what? Come
on. John Joe's night out is false.
Everyone else did. Yeah, everyone else did apart from us. Right, let me. Do you want me to get you mine?
Yes.
Yeah. So hang on. So Anand, you've done it properly. Yeah, you've got 2 false ones.
Yeah. So first one, I conceived my daughter in the gym's sunbed room in Fitness First when I was a PT. The second one, I was sacked and had my contract terminated from professional football for assaulting my manager. Third one, I had to get a job at Foot Locker when I was first qualified as a PT because I couldn't get any clients.
Josh, you're up first again.
I think that you did conceive your daughter on a sunbed because I've worked as a PT in a gym with sunbeds, and I know what happens when you've got the Sunday late shift. It's like 7 p.m. People are bored.
Is that why you've always got a really good suntan on your ass, but you're white as a sheet on the front? Is that why? If he turned round, you wouldn't even be able to see him against that bookshelf. It's like mahogany straight down the back. So you think that copulating on the sunbed?
Have you wore cream?
I think I'm going to have to go a different one. Although I do love that one, I do like that one. I'm going to have to go for the job at Foot Locker. I think you went and got some extra pennies while you were making it as a PT.
Yeah, Mr. Mark Claus, you were right, mate. Although there's a bit of truth in all of them, the other 2 are completely false. There's a bit of truth.
Daughter was conceived on reception.
Yeah, I got a job.
That's why the reception's always that height, like just perfect height, isn't it?
Just like that membership card, yeah.
Wow, very good. What about the football one? So you did assault a football manager or not?
More or less. Well, not assault. Yeah, I got kicked out of the club for gripping hold of him and shoving him against the wall, yeah. And then I couldn't get another contract with any other club. But that was all I did. It was made out like I fully assaulted him. But it wasn't professional assault. Do you know what I mean, Matt?
No, it's like amateur, semi-pro assault.
Yeah.
Soon to be working in Foot Locker.
Yeah, that's the one.
Cool, happy days, boys. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've got about 15 questions left on the pad here that people had asked that we just haven't had time to cover in the 2 hours. But for anyone that has asked a question, I will try and weasel them into next week's show somewhere. And I think it's probably meant that we've got great scope to have you back sometime, boys, because I dare say in 6-9 months' time, when we run out of people who want to come on the show, there might be other stuff that's popped up in your lines of work that needs addressing. Josh, have I missed anything out? I suppose you're going to ask them how we can get hold of them if we need them.
You ruined the surprise there, man. You just
Oh shit! We'll just cut that bit out.
Took that away. So, guys, thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, learn more about what you do, where's the best place for them to go?
Best place is Instagram, Ants PTMA, for a lot of rants, normally about six-figure wankers. Yeah. And some very poorly put together Canva posts.
Yeah, same, but just with Nick in front of PTMA.
Nik PTMA and Ant PTMA. Boys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. And I'm sure we will see you again in the future.
Well, mate, thanks very much, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for today's show. Don't forget to check back weekly for new episodes. If you want to join the UK's largest Facebook group for personal trainers, just search for UK PTs.